This tutorial will walk you through the steps for posting to our course timeline for New Mexico history. As you can see, I'm here at the home page of our course. I'm going to walk you through all the steps. We'll see if I can do it. And I wanted to point out before we jump in a couple of key and important points. With these timeline assignments, please make sure that the first thing you do is go to the course timeline on Tiki-Taki, which you'll see in just a moment, and create a placeholder for the topic that you've chosen for the unit that we're working on. That way you'll make sure that no one else takes your topic while you're working on it. So that's your way of staking a claim to it, because we can't duplicate topics on the course timeline. There should only be one post per topic. Along those same lines, make sure that someone else hasn't posted on your topic under a kind of different name. So for example, the Acoma Revolt might also be referred to as the Acoma Massacre. So make sure, again, that it only appears on there one time. Also, please make sure that you choose a topic that relates to the chronological period that we're currently working on. So for example, in Unit 2, you need to choose a topic that dates to either about 1600, 1610, or earlier, because that's the time frame that we're covering in that unit. And then do that with each successive unit. So all of that said, let's go over here in our course content menu in Blackboard. I'll scroll down just a touch to the timeline tab. Click on that. Please note that there are links to the timeline tab in each learning module as well. Here in this tab, you will find a link to the timeline that I mentioned just a minute ago. So I'll actually open that in a new tab. That post that was already there should have been deleted. So I actually go ahead and delete that one. I'm going to log out so that you can see what it looks like when you first get to the course timeline. I don't know why that one won't delete. We'll work on that in a second. But this is what you'll see when you first get to the course timeline. This is my introduction to it. You can click continue or the X, and then in order to contribute to the timeline, you click login. Then you use the username and the password that I have given you in the timeline assignment document to log in. You see this page after you do. You scroll down just a little bit and you click here where it says New Mexico History. And again, we'll try to delete that one. That's from last semester, should have been gone. Delete. And using this admin box here, that's how you'll contribute to the course timeline. So we have that open. Let's go back to the tab where our course is in Blackboard. Also here you'll find a link to the timeline assignment instructions. These are also available through the syllabus as well. I'm not going to read through these, but just kind of show you how they work. Here's another link to the timeline. Here is the login information for the timeline. We'll all be working in the timeline together. So something that's important to realize is that you may need to switch browsers if the one that you're using keeps logging you out of the timeline while you're trying to work on it. That's been an issue in the past. It seems like it's fairly easy to work around. Also, it's easier to work in the timeline if you don't wait until the last minute to do your work. And I understand that that's not always possible. I was a college student for a very long time myself, and I understand the way that things work. But if everyone's trying to log in at the same time, it creates some problems and ends up logging you out a bit. So please try to avoid that. Again, you can read through all of the specific criteria for the timeline post. And then I want to come down here to the example that I created. So I'm going to click on this because, again, what we're doing here is running through kind of the technical details about how to use the timeline. So once you choose a topic, I've chosen Beringia, or the Bering Strait Land Bridge here for this example. You want to go and create that placeholder that I mentioned just a minute ago. So I'm going to cut, or actually just copy the topic there. I'm going to go back over to the course timeline. And here in the admin box, I'm going to click Create New Story. So you can see here's the new story. It has a certain start date. I'm going to fix that in just a second. But in the title area, I'm going to paste my topic. I'm going to, in the intro section, write my name. This one is a location, so I'm going to switch the category, and then I'm going to switch the time frame. So going back over here to the worksheet that I did all my research work on for the post, this one was approximately 73,000 BCE to 11,000 BCE. Just so the timeline doesn't get skewed way out to 73,000 BCE, I'm just going to post both of these at 11,000. So I'm going to click this calendar here. I'm going to click BC, and I'm going to click 11,000, or I'm going to type 11,000. Please note that if I were to click confirm right now, that actually isn't enough to change the date. I actually have to click on the calendar. So I'm going to just arbitrarily pick January 1st, make sure it's still on BC. You noticed how that switched, and then go click confirm. That says it's outside the range. That's okay this time. Yours probably won't be. And then I have placed my timeline post. Now I can go ahead and click save, make sure that my post is saved, and I can leave and come back later. Let me find where this posted to. There we are. So here you can see there's my placeholder. Now that I have the placeholder and that I've claimed my topic, I'm going to go and do the required research. So again, read the timeline assignment instructions to see what you need to do for that part. You need to find one, I call it an outside source, but it's really just an internet source that provides more information about the topic you've chosen. So you need to go above and beyond what we've been talking about with the course materials. And then you also need to find either a video or an image. Either one works. Some topics lend themselves better to one or the other. Some topics, it's hard to find one, so you'll have to be a little creative and do your best in that regard. So once you've done that, you found your sources, you type your timeline entry. So you define what this is, and then in your last paragraph, you focus on historical significance. I'm going to pop back over to the timeline assignment real quick, because here in the connection step, there's a link to a resource on historical significance, so you understand what that means. For these timeline posts, if you haven't addressed historical significance, you're not done yet. That's kind of the key thing for this assignment. When we talk about historical significance, we're talking about adding analysis to your entry. So you're going beyond just kind of listing a bunch of facts and dates. You need to do that to define what the entry is, what your topic is. But you need to take it another step and explain the so what, who cares kind of question. Why does this matter? Another way you could think of it is how does this event or this person, this place, fit into the larger story of New Mexico history and influence its narrative, its story? Because what we're looking at with history are stories of the past. So what role does this thing play in that overall story? So make sure that you've addressed that as well. It's always a good idea to add specific examples from either the source that you found or from the mile. Going back to those outside sources, here, make sure, and this is noted in the assignment instructions, but just to emphasize, make sure that you do not use Wikipedia or any other encyclopedia type source. You need to find something that provides different kind of interpretation, because encyclopedias generally just give that kind of broad overview of what the thing is. Other kinds of sources will give you more of that analysis so that you can think about different historical interpretations. Okay, so you've done the worksheet. You will need to post your worksheet to Blackboard. So that's maybe the first step you want to do. So if, say, we're working on Unit 2, which we are, you'll go back to the Timeline tab, where I've also posted this video, and you will click Unit 2, Timeline Submission, since we're working in Unit 2. This will take you to the ID step. That's what I'm showing you right now. When you go to do your connection step, you'll have to use this table of contents here and just click Timeline Connection Step. And then that will give you the submission area where you can just browse the computer and attach the file and then click Submit. So that's how you submit to Blackboard. The reason you need to do that is it's just a kind of means of assuring that nobody messes with your post up over here on the course timeline. It also helps me to find your work more easily because you'll notice as we go along, as the timeline gets more and more complex, it would be hard for me to just go through and try to figure out exactly what you posted for which unit. So that's the reason for Blackboard. Going back here then to finish out the post on the timeline, you click admin. You'll have to select your story. Right now mine's the only one on the list, but you'll have to select your story and click edit. Then to put the main text of your post, go to extra info. Please don't just add it to basic info because it ends up just kind of chunking it all together in one big italicized paragraph. Extra info makes it much more readable. So just use the basic info for your name. Go over to your worksheets and copy the work that you did, and then in the full text box, just go ahead and paste it. I lost a period, so I'm going to add the period back in. Click Save. Then to add your media, your image or your video, click the Media tab there, then Add New Media. And then you just go back to your worksheet and you scroll up and you just grab that URL. Mine's a YouTube video this time around. Could be an image, like I said. Post it in here. I'm going to change the type to video. You don't have to do anything with the thumbnail or the caption. Then you just click Save. So you'll notice that my video popped up over here. Now go back to basic info, down here to this link box. One more time over to the worksheet. I'm going to grab the URL for my outside source and post it in here. Click Save. Okay, so now I'm basically done with my post for the ID step. So to look at what it looks like over here on the timeline, you click More. You can play the video. You see the title, my name, and then all of the information that I entered. And then this Find Out More, that's the link to my outside source that I embedded there. So this will take you out there to that source. So this is what yours should look like. What I've showed you here is this, I'm going to go to the timeline assignment instructions. What I've showed you here is the timeline identification step or ID step. Later on, once everyone's posted, you'll have to also do a connection step. What this requires you to do is go to the course timeline and browse through the various entries that are there. Again, right now it's just blank, except for mine. But you're going to look to see what other people have been posting about, and you need to find something that, that directly connects to your original post about your topic. So what we're getting at with that is not to make a comparison. So don't just compare Hernan Cortés and Juan de Oñate, for example, because they were both conquerors, but find something that directly relates to the comparison that you want to make. So for example, if I wanted to connect to Beringia, I could connect that one to Paleo Indians. So we'll say someone else has posted on Paleo Indians. Those were the first peoples who kind of started to develop societies in North America and South America after crossing on the Bering Strait land bridge, I should say. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to create another worksheet like this one. I didn't do an example this time around, but just another worksheet like this one, and I'm just going to type one solid paragraph that states what the connection is. If it's posted on the timeline, say who posted it, and then write about the historical significance of that connection. Then I'm going to go to the admin section, click on my original story, my ID step, only add this to your own ID step, click extra info, scroll to the bottom, and then enter a couple of times, write connection, colon, and then that's where you paste your connection paragraph. Then you click save again, and you're all done. One final thing to say about the connection step, if there isn't a topic that really clearly connects to your ID topic on the timeline, please pick something from the reading and other material that does connect, and then write a paragraph about that. So I would rather that you make a really clear, solid connection than just try to kind of make a tenuous connection to something that does appear on the timeline. As with anything else, if you have questions about this, please let me know. Hopefully this has made this assignment very straightforward. Oh, and also remember that you need to click timeline connection step. You'll have to click OK in that table of contents when you go to upload it to Blackboard so that you can get over to the connection step and then submit it also in Blackboard. All right. I look forward to working on this timeline with you this summer term. And again, please let me know if you have any questions.